Every day, we see the darker side of the world around us. We witness how people can hurt others in ways that are hard to understand. It's a sad part of life, but it's something we can't ignore. As someone who dives into the world of crime, I'm here to share the most shocking stories and try to understand what drives people to do such things. I'm Michael, and today, I've got another unreal true crime story for you. Christmas Eve morning in Laconia, New Hampshire, was supposed to be a time of excitement and joy. But at apartment 67 on Blueberry Lane, something was terribly wrong. Around 8 a.m., a young girl stood outside, talking urgently on the phone. A moment later, her grandmother, Sherry Connor, ran out in a panic, yelling, "He's not breathing." Paramedics arrived quickly and carried a small, unresponsive boy to the ambulance. 5-year-old Dennis Boo Vaughn Jr. was rushed to the hospital, but it was already too late. At first, no one knew exactly what had happened, but as police investigated, they started uncovering disturbing details. Neighbors had heard things. Social workers had reported concerns, but no one had stepped in soon enough. Now, the truth about what had been going on behind those walls was finally coming to light. Dennis Vaughn Jr., affectionately known as Boo by his mother, Danielle Vaughn, entered the world on June 11, 2014, in Laconia, New Hampshire. From the moment she held him, she was captivated by his unique birthmark, a small patch of hair on his head that stood out against his bright blonde locks. Boo grew into a lively and affectionate little boy, his brown eyes filled with joy. Childhood photos capture his adventurous spirit, whether he was splashing around in a pool or playing in the snow. Danielle Vaughn's own childhood, however, was marked by hardship. Her mother, Sherry Connor, had a volatile nature, prone to outbursts and erratic behavior. At the age of 15, Danielle found herself in the care of her mother's friend, Dennis Vaughn, a nearly 50-year-old married man. Their relationship took a romantic turn despite their significant age difference, and within a few years, Danielle became pregnant. The couple eventually married and had 4 children together, the youngest being Dennis Boo Vaughn Jr. Unfortunately, their marriage was riddled with turmoil. Dennis Sr. exerted control over Danielle and became violent. Both spiraled into drug use, leading to multiple arrests. In 2016, law enforcement raided their home, and both parents lost custody of their children. For Danielle, this marked the beginning of a painful 4-year battle. Determined to regain her children, she turned her life around, quitting drugs, attending mandated appointments, and securing stable housing away from her husband. By 2017, the court placed Boo and his siblings in the custody of their maternal grandmother, Sherry Connor. Despite her reservations about her mother's history, Danielle hoped Sherry would care for the children with love and responsibility. However, during her visits, Danielle noticed concerning signs. Her children sometimes had bruises, and one even suffered a concussion. Sherry always had explanations, but Danielle grew increasingly uneasy. One day, she spotted distinct, finger-shaped bruises on their chins, a painful reminder of how her mother had once grabbed her in the same manner, lifting her off the ground while screaming at her. Danielle also noticed that the children appeared malnourished. When she visited them for Christmas in 2018, she was horrified by their living conditions. The home was in squalor, with animal and human waste on the floors. The refrigerator and cabinets were locked, preventing the children from accessing food. In their desperation, they drank from the toilet and used a bucket for a restroom. Fearing for their well-being, Danielle made repeated reports to the New Hampshire Division of Children, Youth, and Families, but her concerns were either dismissed or deemed unfounded. One day, she accidentally received a voicemail from her mother. In the background, she could hear the unmistakable sound of a child being struck, followed by one of her sons crying out in pain while Sherry screamed, "I hate you, you dirty dog. I can't wait for someone to take you away." In July 2019, Sherry took her 8-year-old grandson to a campground, tied him to a chair with duct tape, and abandoned him overnight. Concerned campers contacted the police, leading the New Hampshire Division of Children, Youth, and Families to remove him on an emergency basis. However, to Danielle's distress, only one of her children was taken away. Her other 3 remained with Sherry. Desperate, Danielle called authorities daily, pleading for them to place her remaining children anywhere but in her mother's care. Tragically, on the morning of December 24, 2019, emergency responders were dispatched to Sherry's home after Boo, just 5 years old, was found unresponsive. He was rushed to Lakes Region General Hospital, but despite efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead. Authorities quickly deemed the circumstances suspicious. Investigators from the New Hampshire State Police Major Crimes Unit combed through the home, collecting evidence well into the day. Neighbors living near Sherry and her grandchildren had long been troubled by what they witnessed. Joyce Hendrickson, who lived next door, recounted how she often heard shouting, banging, and other disturbing noises from the unit. Sherry shared the apartment with 3 boys, a girl, and 2 dogs, and over the 2 years Joyce lived beside them, she grew increasingly concerned. Police records confirmed that Laconia authorities had been dispatched to the residence multiple times in the months leading up to Boo's death. Joyce's son, Phil, had also noticed unsettling signs. In February, he saw one of the children outside barefoot in the cold, and by June, he observed further alarming behavior. Taking action, he recorded a video and submitted a complaint to the Laconia police. Officers visited the apartment on June 20th for a juvenile-related matter. In August and October, police also responded to complaints about the animals in the home. On Christmas Eve morning, Phil saw Boo's sister standing outside around 8 a.m. speaking on a phone to 911. Moments later, he witnessed Sherry rushing out, exclaiming, "He's not breathing." Paramedics from the Laconia Fire Department arrived, and paramedics carried Boo out of the apartment and into an ambulance, which sped away to the hospital. Meanwhile, Danielle Vaughn was at work early that morning, cleaning at Elliott Hospital. Less than an hour into her shift, a state police sergeant arrived, asking to speak with her privately. She remembered the chilling moment when he looked at her and said, "Dennis is dead." An autopsy was performed on Boo, but authorities withheld the findings from the public. Assistant Attorney General officials stated that the cause and manner of death were still under investigation, requiring additional studies to determine the exact circumstances. However, the severity of Boo's injuries led authorities to remove his surviving siblings from Sherry's custody. A court document later confirmed that significant bruising on Boo's body contributed to the decision to revoke Sherry's guardianship. The agency informed the court that Sherry was under investigation as the primary suspect in Boo's death. 5 months later, the Attorney General's office finally released Boo's cause of death, homicide due to blunt force trauma to his head and neck. Despite this determination, no arrests were made and no suspects were publicly identified. The case remained stagnant for years. By February 2022, more than 2 years after Boo's death, Danielle was still searching for justice. In an interview with local news, she expressed her frustration and heartbreak, revealing that she had regained custody of her other children and had been following up regularly with the Attorney General's office. As the statute of limitations neared its end in December 2022, Danielle filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Child Services, believing it was the only way to hold the state accountable for Boo's death. The lawsuit, spanning 85 pages, outlined her repeated attempts to seek help and detailed 27 reports of suspected family violence filed between 2017 and 2019. The reports largely came from professionals, including teachers, nurses, and law enforcement officers. The first report, filed in August 2017, described an incident at a campground where Sherry allegedly grabbed Boo by the neck and face, hit him, threw a liquid in his face, and dragged him into a tent. Witnesses were so disturbed by the child's screams that they feared he needed medical attention. Authorities dismissed the report as unfounded, failing to interview the reporting officer or witnesses. Worse yet, when the agency questioned the children, Sherry was present, a clear violation of protocol. By early 2018, Child Services had received multiple reports about Boo's older brother being beaten. Two of these reports originated from Elliott Hospital, where a nurse documented 90 photographs of the child's extensive bruising. That April, Danielle called the police, pleading for someone to check on her children since Sherry was refusing to let her see them. However, when officers arrived, they reported finding the children appearing happy, healthy, clothed, and just about to eat hamburgers. Between September and December 2019, 9 additional reports were made concerning Boo's deteriorating condition. Callers reported that he was vomiting, had scabs on his head, and showed bruises on his head, neck, and arms. Witnesses consistently described the Vaughn children as having visible injuries, and alarming details about their living conditions emerged. Sherry was accused of slapping and kicking the children, locking them in a basement with no light or bathroom, forcing them to relieve themselves in a 5-gallon bucket, making them take cold baths, and tying them up with duct tape. Boo's sister was reportedly forced to sleep in a laundry basket, while Boo and his siblings were subjected to harsh punishments, including running up and down stairs in diapers as a discipline. According to the lawsuit, Boo was often confined to a high chair for long periods, even overnight, when he was just 4 years old. Sherry allegedly fed him expired canned food, straight from the can, without heating it. In January 2019, a concerned neighbor called the police to report loud yelling and banging from Sherry's apartment. The caller stated, "Can I get an officer to 103 Blueberry Lane, apartment 67? I don't know if this lady is beating the crap out of her kid. It's 11 at night and there's so much banging. I tried knocking back, but it's nonstop. All you can hear is her screaming at her kids. I have videos of them outside barefoot for an hour in the winter. It happens all the time. I don't know if she's a student of hell or what, but she won't stop. All you hear are kids screaming. I told her I was reporting her, but you might want to come here for safety. I have proof." When police arrived, they classified the call as a noise complaint. Sherry told the responding officer that she was disciplining one of the children by making him run up and down the stairs 10 times for urinating on the wall. After speaking with the child, who confirmed her story, the officer simply advised Sherry to be mindful of the noise and left. Further reports documented a troubling pattern. A school social worker reported that Boo and his siblings frequently came to school with bruises. Sherry was known to have a history of substance abuse, and it was suspected that she had undiagnosed mental health issues. Another report revealed that Sherry believed the boys were influenced by the devil, whom she associated with their father. She claimed that she had found God and was determined to rid the boys of their father's influence through spiritual intervention. An internal email from the school documented concerns that child services was not taking these reports seriously. Just 9 days after this email was written, Boo was dead. The lawsuit further alleged that in the days leading up to Boo's death, Sherry told Danielle that Boo was experiencing hallucinations and was unable to eat or drink. Sherry reportedly claimed that Boo knew he was going to die and told her that the devil was coming for him. After Boo's passing on Christmas Eve, a social services worker documented that Sherry reacted by shouting that the police don't care about kids and were ruining Christmas. Danielle voiced her deep frustration at losing custody of her children, only for them to end up in an even worse situation. The local community rallied around Boo's memory, putting up flyers with the message, "Don't forget Dennis." One determined woman even marched to the mayor's office, holding a photo of Boo to demand action. Many criticized the Attorney General's office for failing to continue seeking public tips on Boo's case. The Laconia Police Department never used its social media platforms to request information, and the governor was condemned for not advocating for Boo's case as he had for other child victims in New Hampshire. Unlike 3 other cases involving children, which prompted an official state review, Boo's murder received no such attention. A news report referred to Boo as the 5-year-old homicide victim that no one was talking about. The lack of resolution in Boo's case struck a chord with those familiar with similar injustices, such as the unresolved death of 19-month-old Ayla Reynolds in Maine, which had also gone unanswered for over a decade. By this time, Sherry had moved to Maine and agreed to speak with the New Hampshire Bulletin via Facebook Messenger. She admitted that she had only spoken to investigators once. After my interview with the detective, I decided I wasn't talking to anybody anymore. They were really mean to me. I don't trust anyone. She claimed she had been unaware of the 25-plus reports of suspected abuse filed against her. She also alleged that the Child Services Agency did not provide enough food, financial assistance, or support to help her care for the 4 children. When asked about Boo's cause of death, Sherry attempted to shift the narrative by presenting a medical record from 2016, before she had custody of the children. The record showed Boo had been seen for dehydration concerns. She claimed Boo had a drinking problem, stating he would drink from the toilet and the dog's water bowl, even soaking his pajamas in water to suck on them at night. She also mentioned Boo had been ill before his death, but did not specify his symptoms, instead suggesting mold in her apartment could have been the cause. Sherry further attempted to explain away the bruising found on Boo's head, blaming it on a paramedic who she claimed accidentally hit the child's head on the door while carrying him out. Even after being presented with Boo's official death certificate, which stated the cause as blunt force trauma, she insisted he had died of natural causes. Despite her denials, the community continued to demand justice for Boo. In December 2023, candlelit vigils were held every Friday to mark the 4-year anniversary of his homicide. Supporters hoped to draw renewed attention to the case and show solidarity with Boo's surviving family members. Finally, on Friday, August 16, 2024, the New Hampshire State Police and Laconia Police Department announced the long-awaited arrest of Sherry Connor, age 61. She was indicted on charges of manslaughter and negligent homicide, along with 6 counts of first-degree assault, 1 count of second-degree assault, and 4 counts of witness tampering. While the official statement did not name the victim, it was evident that Sherry was finally being held accountable for Boo's death. She was scheduled to appear in court, though the exact date was not disclosed. New details about Boo's death emerged during Sherry's arraignment the following Monday. Authorities revealed that Boo's autopsy showed 60 contusions and abrasions on his body, with 18 contusions and 9 abrasions on his head alone. The medical examiner determined that many of the injuries were fresh, inflicted just hours before Boo died. On the day of his death, Sherry allegedly became enraged when Boo left clothes on the floor. As punishment, she forced him to wear all the clothing he hadn't picked up and made him run in place. When he collapsed from exhaustion, she kicked him and struck him in the head and neck with a broom. After the broom broke, she stomped on him, then covered him with a blanket and left him unattended for hours. Later that day, despite Boo experiencing a 104-degree fever, incontinence, and hallucinations, she still did not seek medical attention. In a heart-wrenching moment, Boo reportedly mistook a plastic bag for a Christmas present, clinging to whatever small joy he could find. Instead of comforting him, Sherry cruelly told him the devil was coming to take him away. He died several hours later. Boo's surviving siblings corroborated the horrific abuse, painting a grim picture of life with Sherry. According to the district attorney, the children endured unimaginable torture, forced to hold their legs in the air while Sherry stomped on them if they faltered. She made them take ice-cold baths, run naked up and down stairs for hours, and even put hot sauce on their genitals. She reportedly held their heads underwater, smothered them with pillows, and frequently deprived them of food. A witness recounted that she preferred suffocation as punishment because it left no visible marks. When in public, the children wore long sleeves to hide their bruises. One teacher reported seeing bruises all over a child's exposed skin after they removed a sweatshirt. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Sherry's public defender requested bail, arguing she had no prior criminal record, was battling cancer, and was concerned about her dog, which had been left home alone after her arrest. He also questioned why it had taken 5 years to bring charges if authorities truly believed she was dangerous. However, the judge denied her initial bail request. In October 2024, Sherry had another bail hearing, during which she tearfully claimed she had been a law-abiding citizen since Boo's death. Her defense emphasized that she had lived in the community without incident and posed no threat to the public. As of February 2025, no trial date had been set. Danielle's wrongful death lawsuit also remained unresolved. Supporters hoped the trial would not only hold Sherry accountable, but also shed light on why it took authorities 5 years to act when there had been a well-documented history of abuse. While we wait for justice, we must ensure that Boo is never forgotten. Thanks for tuning in to Unreal True Crime. If you're intrigued by mysteries from around the world, check out our new channel, Latin Crimes, where we dive into the gripping true crime stories of Latin America. Don't miss out. Subscribe now for more thrilling investigations.